What's up, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers? Welcome to the video feed for episode 76 of Common Sense Sundays. I am, of course, your absolute favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. And after a 2-week break, which we'll get into, I decided it was time for a little bit of beer in the studio for this particular episode. We'll talk about the beer as we get into the actual episode. Since it's been 2 weeks and you know we got a lot of stuff to get into and I'm late in the day, shocking, I know. I'll get into some funny reasons why that's been happening. But all that being said, let's get right into episode 76.
Who 1, 2, 3, go tell it to the wall. Tell it to the wall. Go tell it to the wall. Tell it to the wall.
All right, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers. Welcome to another very exciting edition of Common Sense Sundays with Go Tell It to the Wall, hosted by me, of course, your absolute favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. And this is episode 76. That's right, episode 76. We had a little 2-week hiatus there. Planned and unplanned at the same time. I'll talk a little bit more about all of that madness. It's not really madness. It's just stuff going on. But before we get into that, we always kick things off with our social plugs. You can keep up with us during episodes, after episodes, before episodes, whenever you so please, and you can do that in multiple locations. One of those would be facebook.com/go-tell-it-to-the-wall. That's right, facebook.com/go-tell-it-to-the-wall. If you've been a long-time listener, you should already be following that page. That is a good resource for all new episodes, new content, all kinds of great stuff. So make sure if you're a Facebook user, you're following us over there. Of course, youtube.com/go-tell-it-to-the-wall. If you're a YouTube user, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Check out those videos. You're going to find all of our beer reviews, all of our video feeds from past episodes, current episodes, all that kind of good stuff, Mental Health Monday playlist. All of that right there on YouTube. So make sure if you're a YouTube user that you are subscribe to our channel right there on YouTube. And of course, my own personal Instagram account, which is at SoCalSean, SoCalSean, at SoCalSean. Follow me on there. You're going to get Go Tell It to the Wall content, Common Sense Sundays content. You're also going to get some show content, some cute kid content, all kinds of great stuff. So follow me over there. If you're an Instagram user, I usually follow you people back unless, and I've said this before, nothing against these like pornography-ish modeling accounts. I don't go on Instagram looking for those kind of things. And I know everyone gets these follows. It's kind of like, what's the saying? Fishing with a landmine. Fishing with a hand grenade. Like you start following everyone and someone's going to follow back. That's not what I go on Instagram for. I follow friends and artists and stuff like that. So you're most likely going to follow back, just if you're doing certain things on the gram there, just don't necessarily expect to follow back. And sometimes I'll be scrolling through the gram with my 5-year-old, and it's like, well, I don't need certain kind of photos on there, and then I got to answer questions and everything else. I mean, like I've said, you do you. It's just not what I use my Instagram for. And of course, in addition to those social plugs, you can also bookmark our website, which would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. That's right, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. That is your one-stop shop for everything that is Go Tell It to the Wall, Common Sense Sundays, and Sean O'Rourke Live. Make sure you bookmark that. You're also going to find stuff exclusive to the website that is not featured on any of our other little platforms there. So make sure, even if you're following all the other ones, that you at least once in a while check out SeanO'RourkeLive.com. There's some exclusive content up there. You're also going to find a link to our Patreon campaign. Please help us out if you want to and have the means to do so. And if you don't want to do that, you can also find a link to our merch website. Pick up some Common Sense Go Tell It to the Wall merch. Absolutely. All right, and before we move on, I want to take a moment and all of you out there, if you enjoy listening to me and have enjoyed listening to me for the past 5 years or so, however, oh man, doing this for a long time, 200 plus episodes, and that's a very, very, very big happy birthday to my mother, Ray O'Rourke. Today is her birthday, May 1st. It's luckily, I mean, I usually tend to remember birthdays anyway, but May 1st is a super easy one to remember. I never had to rack my brain for when my mother's birthday occurs. So happy birthday, Ma. If it was not for her, then so most of you should be grateful. Some of you are probably not as grateful, but if it wasn't for her, you wouldn't be able to listen to me yell at a wall on a weekly, semi-weekly basis. So again, happy birthday, Ma. Hope you're having a good day, and I will be seeing her very soon. We just spent Easter together, so it's always this. I get the gauntlet. I think I've said this before. My mother's birthday is in May. Mother's Day is in May. My father's birthday is in June. Father's Day is in June. My father's birthday every few years falls on Father's Day. It's just a gauntlet. It's like I do this back in November because it's my kid's birthday, my birthday, Thanksgiving, and then holidays, and then do it around spring, summertime because all the birthdays and other days stack up. And then I have a wife. I take care of Mother's Day for her, and my brother-in-law's birthday's in May, and my wife's birthday just happened in March. It's like, oh boy, all right, that's the gauntlet there. So, but could not go a recording on May 1st without taking a moment for that. We did have 2 weeks off. One of those was pretty planned. It was Easter. And then last weekend, I'll be honest, things just got away from me. My wife was at a big work thing for like 4 days, and just by the time she got home Sunday, it was like, I'm not getting in that studio right now. I don't have time for it. So we are back to full strength after a little bit of a planned yet unplanned hiatus. But these things happen. Most of you have other things to do, and I'm sorry if you're missing me yelling at a wall, but here I am back yelling at a wall once again. And I said this to the people that are watching the video feed, but we cut off the beginning there for people that don't watch the video feed. I have brought a beer into the studio. For those of you that haven't been long time listeners, part of this podcast, I wouldn't say revolved around beer, but we often would bring in, every week would bring in kind of a new, most of the time lesser known beer. Sometimes it was Tecate in honor of Burning. But, so I try to pull it in now and then. I'm a little later in the day today, so it's appropriate. When I'm recording a Common Sense Sunday at noon, not drinking beer in the studio, but we started recording at 5:30 Pacific here in the U.S., 5:30 p.m., so I figured it was time for a beer. And this one, I've actually been a little bit obsessed with this lately. It's New Belgium, which if you've listened to the podcast or you know me personally, I'm a big New Belgium fan. New Belgium and Firestone are probably my two favorite breweries out there right now. And this is a Voodoo Ranger, which if you know New Belgium, they have all these Voodoo Rangers. But this one is Juice Force IPA, and it's a hazy Imperial IPA. Warning to anyone out there that wants to go out and try this, 9.5. It is a strong one. And not only is it 9.5, it does not taste like 9.5 because it's a hazy, juicy IPA. I actually had and for those of you who remember, I often have my wife try IPAs, and if I think that it'll be up her alley, she will steal one of these from me if I open it and give her a sip. So she actually enjoys them. So that means some of our listeners out there and close friends that don't like the IPAs, I'm talking to you, Tom and Adam, you actually might like this one because I think it's pretty tasty. That being said, I like IPAs, but the wife, who doesn't like IPAs, thought it was tasty. It's super juicy, super smooth from New Belgium. Check them out. Just beware because it's so smooth that you could take down a couple of these and suddenly be like, wow, why am I drunk? Oh, those are very strong beers. So just be wary of that. All right, let's get into some digital trends. Oh, my Lord. A couple episodes ago, I complained, and I always complain about this, beating memes to death in certain digital trends, and it's like, okay, we get it. Some dude slapped a dude at the, yeah, great. A week of the same damn kind of memes. Forgive me, Wall fans, for complaining, because I would rather have a bunch of slap memes than these Amber Heard memes. For those of you not familiar, I'm not even that familiar. I don't care. I'm not into trials that involve people's personal lives. That's, you figure it out. It involves Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and some kind of whatever. But of course, because we've had news of a certain occurrence happening in their bedroom, we have to have all of these memes that, of course, involve poop. I get enough of that at home with a 5-year-old who now thinks saying the word poop is hilarious. In fact, one of her friends was over yesterday. They were jumping on the trampoline and they were going, 1, 2, 3, 4, poop, and just cracking themselves up. I get enough of that from my kid. I don't need it in my news feeds and all these other things. Yes, we get it. Poop. Yeah. Aha. Hilarious. Like, can we all just grow up? Just a little bit. Like, one is funny, but for a week now, I've been scrolling, and it's like, really? I'm sure there's some weird website I could go on if I wanted to see stuff involving poop in my entire news feed. Facebook and Twitter are not places that I want to see that. So calm it down with the poop memes. I get it. And I'm not going to complain about slap memes anymore because I'd much rather see that than stuff involving poop, personally. I have a kid. I've dealt with poop enough. I don't, come on now. And then, of course, we have the Elon Musk outrage and the memes. You're all aware of this unless you've been living under a rock. Because even if you don't use Twitter, you've heard about this. Elon Musk supposedly, I don't even know if the deal's final yet. Again, I don't care enough to investigate these things. What I do care is bringing you the top end of digital trends and what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing is people that are regular Twitter users who genuinely were acting like the world was ending. And they were all like, what are we going to do now? I was like, well, just not go on Twitter or keep going on Twitter because you just traded one rich white dude for another rich white dude. And Elon Musk is essentially just a troll. In fact, I'm going to talk about something that did enrage me from him over the past couple days, but he's just out there looking for attention. It's what all these egomaniacs do. And in fact, I will say, thank God for whatever amendment is in the Constitution where Elon Musk is unable to run for president, because I know a bunch of his fans would vote for him, and holy Jesus, that would be worse than the Orange Menace, I think. He's just a troll. And again, with the memes, because of course, people, and they're creating these fake tweets. I'm going to buy Warped Tour and bring back, like, Jesus. Okay, we get it. It's funny. Like, a day. There should be a referendum on these kind of things. Like, you get a day. You can do it for a day and then move on to the next thing. We're done with the Elon Musk memes. But I gotta say, I was genuinely cracking up because it was like the world was ending on Twitter for a couple days. And everyone's like, what are we gonna do? He's gonna ruin it and all this. It's Twitter. I mean, like, create another thing. Unbelievable to me. All right, this one's gotten me, and another. I think I've mentioned this before. When it comes to any kind of children shaming, child shaming, kid shaming on social media, but another one came up recently, and that I'd seen, and it started trending a bit. And there's like the humiliating a kid because you're yelling at them or whatever. We've seen this. I brought that up. Then there's the whole thing of breaking their stuff. You've all seen stuff like this. A dad runs over a PlayStation or whatever else, or they throw a TV. It's all ridiculous. Well, this came up again recently where this dad, and here's the ridiculous thing. Like, there's so much fury going on in this clip that's on there, and the kid is just standing against the wall. I'm not going to get into whatever he did or anything else, and people are on there debating, like, what the kid did. It's like, the dad takes out this laptop that he bought for his birthday, brand new in the box, unwraps the box. It's brand new in the box. Unwraps the box and destroys the computer in front of his kid. There's so many things to unpack with this. First of all, you shouldn't be shaming your children on social media just so you can get clicks. If you want to discipline your child within logical, reasonable, common sense means, that's fine. You don't need to show it to the world. There's never any reason for that. You're just trying to get clicks. It's all these stupid families out here trying to get clicks, creating fake things and fake tragedies and fake emergencies and playing pranks on their kids. The pranks, too, that's ridiculous. Okay? You shouldn't be doing... To me, that's borderline child abuse. That's right. As a parent, you don't have to give them a computer, but just don't give them a computer. Here's the other thing with it. You can tell that the kid is just mortified, and he's not so much mortified because the computer's being broken. He's more mortified that his father is just so heated and angry in this moment. And his father's there wearing nothing but boxers. Like, can you put on some clothes before you interact with your kid on video? And then again, a brand new computer. Just don't give him the computer. Just return the computer. Give the computer to some poor child that can't afford a computer. No, I'm going to destroy this computer so that it can go all over the internet and I can embarrass the shit out of my kid. Give me a break. That's the kind of world we live in. If you're a parent that does that, this podcast, it's not for you. There's probably some angry podcast. Just go listen to Joe Rogan. He probably condones that kind of behavior with your kids. Oh, and good old Twitter. You know what happened to me yesterday? And I'm going to get into a little bit more of what, because I want to talk about it in mental health, because I am not one to interact on Twitter, and if I'm interacting with a couple of my friends or whatever, but I just scroll Twitter. I get news and information off Twitter. It is very good for certain, I follow certain artists and certain, especially like sports personalities, because I enjoy, certain sports, professional sports. It's great for that. But I don't interact a lot. There's a lot of, Twitter is a place for trolls. Let's just put it that way. Place for trolls and people of note. People that are recognizable and personalities, whatever it might be. It's for people like that. Well, yesterday, I didn't even take the time to look this up. I got called a lumbersexual And then followed by some other words that I didn't understand. And one of the words was Reddit. And I kind of know what Reddit is. And I was like, and I didn't even engage. I wanted to be like, I don't know what any of those words mean. And I don't care if it's because I'm old. And I know what's going to happen is a bunch of my close friends that listen to this, they're all going to text me later tonight and tomorrow and say, no, and tell me what a lumbersexual. I don't care. But I got called a lumbersexual, whatever that is. And here's the reasoning is, and I still don't understand what this was. I was responding to someone saying that, and it was involving some rich guy. That's what it was, right? Some rich guy, in quotes. And it was people, this was actually revolving around mental illness medications. And someone was saying you can't trust doctors. And then someone came in and said, some people prefer to trust some rich guy. And so I responded, I said, trusting some rich guy is why we're still dealing with COVID. This is an objective statement. It really is, because we have proof now that ivermectin does not help treat COVID. We absolutely, objectively had some rich dudes touting ivermectin as being helpful for COVID. To me, this is completely objective. We've seen it. What's the argument here? But apparently I am a lumbersexual for pointing that out. Something about Reddit and something else I don't even understand. I did take a moment to click on the profile, which furthered my desire to not engage with anybody. But man, Twitter's like the fucking Wild West. That's why I don't contribute anything. We don't even promote it's on the wall behind me. Go Tell Us the Wall has a Twitter. I haven't promoted it in years just because that's nothing good's going on Twitter. Not if you're engaging. You know, I find some news, that's great. I go on and get sports scores and like sports highlights or, certain things like that. And honestly, when there's local news happening, a lot of times you can go on there and somebody's posting and you're like, okay. Like it happens to me with fireworks when sometimes I'm like, why is it, this is not the normal neighborhood fireworks. And I'll go on Twitter and sure enough, someone's like, oh, Dodger Stadium fireworks. I'm like, oh, that's why. And, it's not even that I'm scared or anything. I'm just curious. Like, all right, who's somebody doing a series? I'm just like, every time it's Dodger Stadium or Rose Bowl, because I kind of live in between them, and you can hear them depending on the evening. And I guess we're just going to, maybe we'll go tell it to the lumbersexual. I assume that was an insult. I don't care. I don't care. All right, this is the last one here in digital trends. And I just want to bring this one up, and I would encourage you to participate. You don't even have to, you can do this on Instagram and Facebook. If I've seen it on all the platforms, and it's hashtag Old Headshot Day. Can't figure out which day this is because I've been seeing them for like 3 days, but even today there were still people's old headshots being posted. It's pretty funny. I encourage you to participate if you're someone that has old headshots. I am not cool enough to have old headshots. I mean, I guess I could post some modeling photos from when I was a child, which if you follow me on Facebook, those are just available there anyway. I have no shame, zero shame. When it comes to any of that, but I did find them entertaining, and that's actually another where Twitter does become fun, because if you follow like comedians or actors and stuff like that, they post their old headshots, and you're like, whoa, that's pretty effing wild, like how different they look, let's say in the 80s or even the 90s. God, it's getting up there in years. Like I keep forgetting. I think of the 80s as like 20 years ago, and I'm like, oh, it's 40 years ago, dude. Oops, okay. I live in denial on that, I guess you could say. All right, some COVID updates. Since our last episode, they have stopped requiring masks on airplanes. This is, of course, due to a federal judge down there in, you guessed it, Florida. I actually didn't do extensive research, but upon 5 minutes of research, you could find out that this judge doesn't even have the resume to be a federal judge. And of course, they're going back and forth on it right now. But the reason I bring this up is people cheered like it was the end of a war. Like that's how badly they were being. You would think it was like ticker tape parades at the end of World War II. That's the type of stuff people were doing because they didn't have to wear a mask on an airplane anymore, which is just astounding to me. Have some fucking perspective. Like it's a piece of fabric over your face. It's not that big a deal. You literally just have to turn the news on and see what people in other countries are dealing with, and you're worried about a mask. But even if we, fine, celebrate whatever you want. Some airlines, we got reports, some airlines literally did it mid-flight. Captain came on the speaker and said, all of you can take off your masks mid-flight. Not even giving people an option that are on that plane to not be on a plane with a bunch of sick people that aren't masked. Can you imagine you're bringing your terminally ill child for some treatment at a special hospital and everyone throws their masks into the air like it's fucking graduation or something? Come on now. Have some respect for your fellow individual. Mid-flight. Here's what really gets me about the masks on planes. Everyone's like, oh, we don't want to wear masks on planes. I hope everyone out there realizes, regardless of where you fall on this, they created an entire industry around stuff that you take when you're getting on an airplane, stuff to keep you from getting sick. One of them is literally called airborne. It was created to take when you go on a plane because everyone gets sick on a plane. An entire industry. And we just tend to forget that. Well, no, we don't want masks. And I'm not going to sit here and argue with people anymore on this, but to me it's just common sense. Common sense. In fact, my father-in-law got on an airplane less than a week ago, and I said, "You're still?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely wearing a mask on a plane." I absolutely would. But we're so excited that we don't have to wear a mask on a piece of fabric on a plane anymore. Jesus Christ. Mind-boggling to me. And of course, we have cases rising in some areas. One of those being Vermont, where cases are steadily rising. And they're kind of using that as the canary in the coal mine right now to see how things are going to work out for other states and other parts of the country. So hold on to your butts, as Samuel L. Jackson said in Jurassic Park, because it's still not over. And in fact, we've had quite a few bands had to cancel shows because of positive tests within their camp. Catbite was one of them. There's been a couple others that I've seen floating around that have had to miss shows because of, and this is something that was happening, last summer when it started to open back up and then calmed down, and then happened again in the in late fall when bands had to cancel shows. So based on that, I would also recommend wearing a mask at shows so that you don't infect your band that you really love, that you paid money to go see, and make it so that they are once again losing out on money after the past 2+ difficult years for all musicians out there trying to tour. That's how they make their money. They play shows. Have some respect, wear a mask, don't get your favorite band sick. It's not worth it. I'm going to warn everyone. I'm not even going to try to get the sounds out. I've got kids running around, not inside. I've got them running around outside right now. It's a bit of madness at my house. Probably hear some yelling and playing kids, bikes running into things. I don't even know what's happening out there. There's also another thing running around out there that I'm going to talk about in parenting because me and my family did a thing this week, but we're not quite there yet. All right, mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I say this every year in May. I'll say it the next few episodes. It's great. We need to recognize Mental Health Awareness Month. We also need to be cautious and aware of mental health and mental illness 365 days a year. It's great to have a month for it, but many people, myself included, deal with it all year long, not just in May. But it is good to have some extra time that hopefully people are either looking how they can help others or looking into themselves if they are in need of any kind of mental health help, have a mental illness that's been untreated, whatever it might be. And then, of course, a couple days before mental health, and this is what I was referring to when I was called a lumbersexual, was a post that was going around. And you may have noticed if you go on Twitter that Wellbutrin was trending on Twitter. This is a medication that is given for depression, among other things. It is a very common mental illness medication that is prescribed. And many, many, many people out there have used it with great success. I have never used Wellbutrin. I've had success with other medications, but I know people personally and not personally that have had great success with Wellbutrin. Well, here we have the troll of trolls, Elon Musk, going on Twitter to his millions of fans or whatever, his fake robot followers, and talking bad about Wellbutrin and how you should avoid Wellbutrin and it can lead to suicide. Yes, it can, but once again, we don't need to take medical advice from a rich white dude who's not an expert. And I get it. Some people don't trust doctors. I have had not great doctors in my life when it comes to general medicine and when it comes to mental health. I've run the gamut on bad medications, all kinds of stuff, bad care. And I realize the slight irony of me talking about mental health on a weekly basis. The difference is I don't paint myself as an expert, and I don't sit here and talk bad about things that have been widely successful for many people out there and have gotten them out of depression. You should absolutely talk to your doctor about these things. Maybe Wellbutrin isn't for you, but you shouldn't be listening to some asshole on Twitter who's out there just to stir up controversy and be a troll. Because here's the thing, people are going to follow that advice and not get help. It sets us way back. It adds to the stigma when you talk bad about mental health medications like that. That's all it's doing. You're just, instead of ending the stigma or decreasing the stigma, you're adding to it at that point. That's all you're doing with no actual knowledge of it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with medication or therapy. Nothing. We live in a world where those things exist and they can help many, many people to great success. And there's trial and error, and like I said, not every doctor's great. But there is a doctor out there for everybody. Simple as that. It may take you a few tries, you may not like, but don't get discouraged. And definitely don't listen to some idiot on Twitter when it comes to mental illness and your own mental health. That's just something you should never do. Ever. Ever. I just realized I don't have I'm going to make a little note here, Wall fans, because I realized that there was a show between, and the reason is I'm looking in my monitor and I can see the new sticker. And in fact, for those of you watching the video feed, you may have noticed a lot of new stickers going up on the wall. One of those is Let Me Downs, which I had the pleasure of seeing the night before Easter. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I forgot to actually put it in there. So I'm going to note that and make sure we talk about that, because that is a great band, and if you are not listening to them, you are absolutely missing out. But before we get there, we got some positive news. Oh, I'm excited about this positive news. We got some news from Machine Gun Kelly, or whatever that idiot, Machine Gun Kelly, yeah, that's it. I don't know, I always just shorthand it MGK, because it's easier when I'm writing my notes. I know it's Machine Gun something. Machine Gun Karen, as far as I'm concerned. No offense to all the Karens out there. I'm only referring to the whole joke thing with the... But anyway, Machine Gun Kelly, he has announced he's going back to hip-hop. He's no longer going to do... He was calling it pop-punk, but he's no longer going to do that shit that he was doing recently after he got embarrassed out of the hip-hop genre. So... That's definitely the most positive news I've gotten in a while, because I got to be honest, I am sick and tired of seeing this guy pop up and the scene that I enjoy and have been a part of for, Jesus Christ, 30 years, almost close to 30 years. I've been running around in this scene. I don't need this idiot running around doing things, and in fact, we're going to talk about something else with him in Common Sense. The only thing I think could make this better is if he took Travis Barker with him, because I would love to see Travis Barker just kind of disappear as well and stop enabling all these other idiots that are putting out terrible, terrible music. And I always say, listen to what you want to listen to. That's not good music, man. I don't care what kind of music you're into. I don't understand who's listening to this Machine Gun Kelly shit. It's not enjoyable at all. Have you heard this emo girl thing? Oh, my God. It's like a 5-year-old wrote it. It's something they'd put on Sesame Street or Daniel Tiger or something. Like, what? And people are fawning over it. Jesus. It's amazing to me. I can't think of any more positive news that came up over the past week or so, because I'm just hoping I don't have to hear about the guy ever again. Ever. Probably still will have to, but at least it gets him out of my genre that I enjoy and have been in for a very long time. All right, parenting. Oh boy. Family did a thing this week. We did a thing that many families do at some point throughout their familydom. And we got a dog. That's right. Got a rescue dog that we found through one of the rescue groups or whatever. And had him come over on Wednesday. We met him Sunday in person. Had seen pictures and everything and learned all about him. Had to come over Wednesday to live here, and it's been enjoyable, but it's also been quite the challenge. because we haven't. Now, we had a dog, which if you've been a long-time listener, you know this. We did have a dog 5 years ago, a little over. Well, yes, we had a dog before my daughter was born. Unfortunately, he passed away when she was like 5 months old. So she kind of doesn't. She sees pictures, and we haven't had a dog since then. And I was very apprehensive about getting a dog. So I'm like, all right, well, I know I'm gonna be the one cleaning up after this dog and all that other stuff. And sure enough, of course, I'm doing a lot of that because 5-year-olds, they don't have much interest in cleaning up after a dog. They just want to play with the dog. So, but we did it. And I'll say I'm very happy. It's just more responsibility. It's another body in the house. And he's a good dog. Great dog, I'll say. But it's still something that, I'm out there walking the dog and stuff. And it's like, I haven't done this in years. And I'm picking up dog poop. And that's a lot that goes into having a dog, So that's where my family's at right now. And let me tell you, one of the most challenging things is, now I've had pets in my life. I had pets as a kid, dogs, a couple cats, rabbits. Jeez, we had chinchillas for I've had pets. But I've never had to name a pet with a 5-year-old. Getting a 5-year-old to agree with it. That was a challenge. That was about 2 days of because we knew we were going to get the dog. Like, as of Sunday night, we were like, we'll get the dog, So we start debating the name. And the dog had a name, Snowflake. And it's like, well, it's a white dog. It's a little white poodle mix dog. And yes, the name fits. But that's a funky connotation these days. Let's just avoid that. So my kid wants to name him Little Princess. It's like, okay, I don't like to conform to gender roles. But I also don't want to be calling, hey, Little Princess, And we go through a couple names, and she's upset because she thinks her names are hilarious. And we're like, we cannot do that. That's a funky name. It doesn't really... my wife and I, who are both big Henson fans, obviously. If you watch the video feed, there's a lot of Henson stuff in here. And you can't even see the Fraggles up there. So we're running through names. And I'm like, Sir Didymus. It's a white dog. Ludo from, Labyrinth. And Gobo from Fraggles. And we're going... She's like, no. And I was finally like, Falcor. For those of you not familiar, Falcor from Neverending Story. No. Didn't want that one. Well, next morning, my 5-year-old wakes up and she goes, I like Falcor. And I said, boom, that's the name. No more debate. We're done. Because if we debate it further, this is just going to turn into tears and everything else. Well, I go to find out my wife was terrified of Falcor when she was a kid. So that's why she was a little hesitant. Now, that being said, she hasn't seen the entire movie. She's only seen pictures. And I'm like, okay, we got to see the movie and see how damn nice Falcor is. He's a big, happy, white, dog-looking dragon. So I've got a little Falcor running around the yard right now, and well worth it for the kid. She's just been so happy with the dog, and he's a good dog. He's a little shadow. When kiddo's at school, I can't go anywhere in the house or in the yard without the dog. And in fact, like the first day we had him, my wife's in here in the studio working. And I hop in the shower, and I think she had the door closed for a minute because she's on a call or whatever it was, and he starts barking at her, and she's like, what? She opens the door, and he comes running into the bathroom, like the door's cracked on the bathroom, which is right near the studio where I'm showering, and he sticks his head in the shower, and I'm like, okay, let me just take a damn shower here, pup. Like, I just need a little bit of space. So it's been fun at times, like especially when the wife leaves for a few, and I've got a 5-year-old running around and a 18-month-old dog running around. Oh, gosh. All the fun. But well worth it. That's just part of parenting. Speaking of part of parenting, as a parent, or maybe even just if you have nieces or nephews, you've seen these poppets, right? They're the poppet things. It's the new generation of fidget spinners. Those things kids years ago were spinning around like crazy, and you'd see them walking around, and it's like, choo, choo, I'd never used them. I have to say now I have. Well, now they have combined those two things, and they have Poppet Spinners. My kid said she wanted a Poppet Spinner. So I said, okay, well, hopefully the Easter Bunny will bring you some Poppet Spinners. And sure enough, the Easter Bunny did. And I was like, what is this thing? And it is literally one of those spinner things, but it's got the Poppet bubbles on the outside. Kids love these things. Now they're just combining fidget toys. Eventually, you're going to have this massive... I don't know if you've been out places that have the Poppet things. Like, I was out in San Diego for spring break, and we're walking around Balboa Park, and there's a couple stands, like vendors that... And I kid you not, like 2 feet, like 2 feet by 2 feet, these giant things. Like you just sit there popping all day. it's crazy, but that's what we're doing there. My kid loves these things, loves them constantly. She's got a couple kids over right now. I said they came up with these Poppet things. I'm like, oh my gosh, all the Poppets everywhere. Now throw the spinner on there, and it's a whole nother thing. Although I will say, my 5-year-old's hands are still not quite big enough. So that's how I've done it now, is I was showing her how to spin it, and it kind of hits her hand. She's got to grow a tiny bit before the spinners will really get going there. And I have a big complaint right now. And I think I've mentioned this before, but lately it's been really, really getting to me. It was happening a lot during like the NFL season and even college football. My kid enjoys watching sports with me, and certain things. She really likes hockey and basketball. So now it's NBA playoffs, basketball playoffs. But I find a lot of times I have to be very diligent about watching what she's seeing, because now the sports events, the games, totally fine. Like, my kid can watch that. She's 5. What happens is when the ads come up, I'm all for commercials. Here's the thing. Can we just do like car commercials and, stuff like that? Even if we're going to do commercials for TV shows, make it kid friendly. But no, we have to advertise horror movies, during sporting events. This happened today, this morning. We're having breakfast, and after breakfast, I was like, oh, there's a basketball game on. Let me throw on the playoff game. Started at 10 in the morning, 10 a.m. Pacific here in California. Like, it's not even noon, and I'm getting hit with horror commercials for horror movies. I can't even remember which ones they were, but here I'm having to run and turn it off or block her, and it's like, I can't even watch a sports event with my 5-year-old? I get it. You want to advertise? Fine. In fact, many networks have a rule for that, and they're only showing them later at night. However, when it comes to sporting events, you're going to get a lot of car ads, a lot of cryptocurrency ads. It's all fine. But then you start throwing in the male prescription commercials, which, again, fine, but I don't need to be explaining to my daughter why you need a pill for certain things when you're a man, when you're a certain age. She's 5. She'll learn eventually, but I don't want to be explaining that. And then I don't want her having fucking nightmares. We're talking super creepy commercials. Let's knock it off. And the amazing thing, the game today, ABC. Who owns ABC? Disney. Do better, Disney. Jesus. Let's move on to some common sense. I just want to watch a game with my kid. You're like, nope. There's a time and place for that stuff. Sporting events should be kid-friendly. Commercials and all should be kid-friendly. Let's calm it down. That's what's extra funny to me. I have no problem with my kid watching the Super Bowl halftime show. Everyone's like, oh, there's all these dancers and stuff. That's horrible for my kid to see that. And, but the super scary movie commercials that are giving your kids nightmares, that's cool? Give me a break. Like, come on now. All right, common sense. I'll talk about this idiot again. Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, yeah, they were in the news recently, not just for the moving back to hip-hop thing, but Megan Fox pointed out that they do, in fact, wait for it, drink each other's blood. They only do it for ritual reasons, whatever the fuck that means. I mean, I'm into, Norseman culture, but we're well past that here, guys. It's not something we really do anymore. They drink each other's blood for ritual purposes. This was all over the news. And of course, let me just point this out. This is just reaching for headlines. We don't need to hear about your personal life. It's not our business. And also, I don't want to hear about you drinking each other's blood. I don't want to know anything about your personal life, let alone the weird, creepy shit that you're doing for ritual purposes. Finger quotes there. It's all just hungry for attention. I'm so done. I'm done with and that's the thing is I avoid it, but it still pops up. You can't avoid like the Machine Gun Kelly and stuff. And I understand that it's news, but Jesus, stop giving these people a microphone. Just stop. Don't let them put this stuff out there. They want to put it out on their fine. Stop interviewing them and getting this info because it's information I did not need, and I wish I never got. And let me just put this out there. I always say, live your life. Have your culture, whatever it is. Don't drink each other's blood for the love of God. All right, MTG Marge, good old Marge over there in Washington. I love and hate Marge for so many reasons. I hate everything about her, but I love the fact that every single thing coming out of her mouth is just utter fucking nonsense. Beyond nonsense. And so most recently, she's doing some interviews and saying that the churches in this country, the Christian and Catholic churches, are being influenced by Satan. Yeah, that's Satan. As opposed to the other Satan. I don't know why that's Satan. Oh, yeah, the other one. No, they're being influenced by Satan. And that's why all this stuff is happening. And she also talked about how Satan is whispering in women's ears and convincing them that they need to get an abortion because that's the only way their male partner will marry them. And let's not forget Jewish space lasers. Right when you think she can't get any more crazy. Here's the thing that really gets me on this. Not a peep from any religious organization. Not a peep. Can I get somebody to come out and say, that's inaccurate? No. And I can't figure out if it's, again, the hypocrisy that we always deal with in this country. And there's like, no, we're just going to support her because she says America and God and she wears a cross around her neck and all this other stuff. Or if they're just like, she's so crazy, we don't need to respond to it. However, I would like to see some religious organization respond to this. So I know a lot of people out there hate religion. I hate religious zealots. I have a full respect for people who want to be religious and spiritual as long as they are not pushing that on other people or taking away other people's rights. That's when we have a problem. So I would actually like to see someone speak out against that. It would be nice to know, like, or maybe Satan is influencing those churches and maybe America's going to get a little more fun here soon. No, I'm going to get emails on that. I already know. There's a saying, I want to go to heaven for the weather, but I want to go to hell for the company. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Good old Marge. Just completely unhinged. That's why I had to have a beer in here today, because I'm talking about Marge and Machine Gun Karen and drinking. Like, what is happening this week? Take 2 weeks off and the whole world goes to hell. The whole world already went to hell a long time ago, but you know what I mean. All right. Student loan forgiveness. This is yet again a hot topic because we're hearing that Biden is exploring options to forgive student loans for many borrowers in the United States of America. And of course, everybody is pushing back on this. Oh no, we can't forgive student loans? How can we do that? And their reasoning is always, well, I paid back all of my student loans. And I don't even want to unpack this that much because we could talk about how much college cost at certain times and certain generations and everything else, and how I don't even want to start on how predatory the college lending industry is. It's an industry. It is a for-profit industry. That's all you need to know about that. What gets me the most on this is something, and this comes up often. I see this with dad groups I'm in. And dads are like, well, my kids got to learn. They're going to suffer like I've suffered. That's the same energy as this. People are saying, well, I had to suffer. Everyone else should suffer too. Can you imagine if they came up with a cure for cancer and people were like, well, I had to go through chemo, so we should not cure cancer. What? Just because it sucked for you, it has to suck for everybody else? That makes no sense whatsoever. And let me tell you right now, I still have some student loans. My wife does not. Both of us in this household, not because I have them, but both of us in this household are very much in favor of student loan forgiveness for everybody because it is a predatory industry. Absolutely. So come at me with that and tell me how terrible I am because people shouldn't have to pay back these ridiculous loans that they took out without truly understanding anything. And then tell me about how we can't pay for it for taxes, yet we pay for this ginormous military budget. And you know what part of the taxes from the military pays for? For all those men and women in the military to then go to a state college. So you're actually paying for it in taxes. You're just being told that it's different. It's amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me. Well, I suffered, so you have to too. It's like, it's just, what? Like, well, I got fucked. Everyone else needs to be fucked. Like, no, that's not how it works. It's not how any of this works. You should want things better for future generations. You should want things better for your children. Come on now. All right, I want to talk about something common sense, but really not as important. That'd be denim vests. Let's see. My battle jacket's getting pretty full. I started a new jacket a few years ago, and it's getting very full of patches. I'm running out of space, and I've actually got patches that need to go somewhere. So I was like, you know what? I have a full jacket. I wear a Dickies jacket. I've always had a Dickies jacket. I had a denim vest for like a little while and didn't really patch it up much. But I was like, I want to get a denim vest. And something I can wear to shows, put some new patches on it and everything else. And so I was like, let me go look here. Levi's. And I'm a Levi's guy. So Levi's denim vest, like $80, $90. Like, wait, what? How much are denim jackets? Levi's, $40, $50. Wait, what? It's the same thing with, and I know this is like the men's swimsuits versus women's swimsuits debate. I get it, but we're talking about the same company here, and it's like, yo, Levi's, just put a little less fabric in it, and even charge me $5, charge me the same price. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get a damn jacket and I'm gonna cut the sleeves off instead of paying more for a vest. Common sense says maybe we should look at the pricing here, Levi's. You know what I mean? Let's take a closer look at all this. I don't need the sleeves. I don't know what I'm going to throw away sleeves. Maybe I'll do something. That's how we say that. Maybe I'll do something with this fabric, and then there's a bin of fabric in my garage. And I don't sew at all. My wife does a little bit, but neither of us get around to all this fabric and do anything with it. I was like, I just want a vest. Get with it, Levi's. Do better. Can you imagine like the the donations at like Goodwill suddenly? Why are we getting all these denim sleeves? Well, Levi's charges too much for their vests, so that's what people have to do. Come on, man. Oh, that one just amused the hell out of me. Kirk Cameron. This guy does not amuse the hell out of me. He's going viral right now. He is promoting his new film. I got to look at it. I need my glasses right now. His new Homeschool Awakening. He's got a new movie. Yeah, I bet you didn't know Kirk Cameron still made movies. He does. They are all non-theatrical and basically for Christian people. I have no problem with Christian people, but I have a problem with Kirk Cameron because he's always doing dumb things and he's always trying to belittle people that shouldn't be belittled. And this is him railing against public schools. And I kid you not how evil public school education is and how all kids should be homeschooled. Good Lord. I have nothing against homeschooling, but can you imagine if every kid, taking advice from Kirk Cameron and no, sir. That would not be a good situation. And of course, I'm sure a lot of this has spawned from the Don't Say Gay bill down there in Florida, and still this huge argument. They're throwing away math books down there in Florida. Math? Well, this is inappropriate. Like what? I just imagine DeSantis. That 2's looking a little too seductively at that 4. Get those math books out of here. Like, wait, what? It's fucking numbers, Ron. Come on now. Good old Ron down there in Florida. And like I said, the Don't Say, it's truly repulsive. The way people like Kirk Cameron, DeSantis, think they're better than other people and want to completely erase the culture of people and the orientation of people. And that's what's happening right now. And the absolute amazing thing to me is it's being so blown out of proportion. They're teaching sex, and that's my favorite. Well, Disney's going to have Mickey having sex with Pluto. That was literally said. Like, what? I worked at Disney, and they do a lot of shitty things. One of those is not pushing sex off on children. If they're pushing sex off on children, it's not bestiality. It's like some good-looking prince and some good-looking princess kissing. I didn't see anything else in the cartoons there. Let's be realistic. And lately I've been thinking about when I was a kid, like 7, 8-year-old Sean, and this is the late 80s. Late 80s or very, very early 90s. And I remember I'm driving like home from school with my mom, and something came up about like gay, and I was like, oh, hey, mom, what does gay mean? And my mother said to me, she's like, oh, no, that's when a man likes a man or is attracted to a man, or when a woman is attracted to a woman, that they're gay. And so I said, oh, okay, cool. That was it. Like it's pretty simple. We do the same thing with my kid. My kid knows same-sex couples. Like, some women like women, men like men. You don't have to get into what they do in the bedroom. Do you do that when you say, oh, that's Joe and his wife Pam? Like, oh, now I gotta know all about their bedroom life. Like, no, get over yourselves. It's repressed feelings most of the time. And I'm not going to, I don't want to stand on that platform, but good Lord. Just come out of the closet. We all have equal rights. And then my favorite is, well, the sanctity of marriage. And then they go around worshiping Kardashians and everything else. It's like, really, the sanctity of marriage? Okay. Get off your high horse that shouldn't even be there. Oh, and Coachella. Yeah, that thing happened. Now Stagecoach is happening, so we'll probably have the Stagecoach Cough. But there's this thing coming out, Coachella Cough, after the 2 weekends of Coachella. And people were like, oh, it's the dust, it's the dust. Could not possibly be the fact that they didn't check any kind of vaccination records or negative tests or anything when people were coming into this thousands and thousands and thousands of people at a festival outdoors. But look at the video footage. They're crammed together. If you're outdoors and you're shoulder to shoulder with 50 other people, it doesn't matter if you're outdoors. I will give it a little bit because there's a lot of, well, it's the dust out there in Coachella, and when you spend 2 days dancing around in the dust, it's going to make you cough a little. If that is the case, I got to say, that's cute. I've been to Coachella. I went once. That's not dust. That's like going for a hike, and there's people hiking or running, and there's a little dust kicking up. Get over yourselves. You want to talk about dust? Go to Burning Man. We all go inhale that dust for like 9 days. Yeah, you cough for about a day, but you don't come back coughing for a week from dust. So get over yourselves. Wear a damn mask if you have to. Coachella Cough. I always find that really amusing. Like, it's so hard out here at Coachella. Like, with the food stands and the beer stands and the grass and the shade and the rides. Yeah. So difficult out there. You're toiling with all those hipsters, man. Oh, his phone's dying. Can't get on Instagram. Oh, I'm toiling here. Really, if you can't tell, I don't like Coachella. I'm not a fan. All right, entertainment news. Last Kingdom. Good Lord. This is a show on Netflix. Don't quote me on this. I believe it was originally a BBC show for like a season, and then Netflix picked it up and started producing it. It was on another, so you have a season, and then Netflix took over producing and shooting it and everything else. But this show, they have 5 seasons of it. If you haven't seen it, start from the very beginning. It's all on Netflix. They actually recently released the 5th season, which is the final season. I finally got around to watching it like last week. It's like 10 episodes. And I got to say, and there's people in agreement with me on this because I've seen articles popping up and stuff, blows Game of Thrones out of the water. Absolutely does. The characters, the writing, the acting, the plot lines, everything, in my opinion, blows Game of Thrones out of the water. And I'm not going to spoil anything. It ends a billion times better than Game of Thrones. So if you haven't seen Last Kingdom, highly, highly recommend you check it out. If you're into those kinds of shows, like if you liked Game of Thrones, you're going to like Last Kingdom. Maybe you won't like it better than Thrones, but you're going to like it and you're going to enjoy it. It's not something to watch with your kids because, like Game of Thrones, there's violence in it. There's blood and violence and a little bit of sex. Not quite as much sex as Thrones, but, it's not kid appropriate, but highly recommend you check that one out if you have not. I think I'm going to go back and rewatch the series because I'd found it when like 3 or 4 of the seasons were already done. So boom, 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 binge to an extent, to the extent I can with a child at home. And then waited for the 5th season. So I think I'm going to go back to the beginning and rewatch kind of the whole thing because it's just a fantastic series. And if you have Netflix, you've got access to it. So check it out over there before Netflix rides off into the night with all their problems they're having right now. All right, The Drowns. One of my favorite bands out of Seattle. I've talked about them before. And I'm bringing them up again because they have a new EP that is going to be released on Friday. It's called Lunatics. And they actually have a couple songs out already that are fantastic. So if you pre-order the album, you get those. I think it's 2 songs. They're both great songs. And then the entire EP is going to be out Friday. I haven't downloaded it yet. I've just heard the songs, but I will be downloading on Friday as soon as the entire album comes out. For me, I like to wait until the album's out because what happens is when you download the couple songs, it screws up the album order like within your playlists and stuff a lot of times. So I want to get the whole album at once. Boom, done. But highly, highly, highly recommend checking out the new Drowns album that's coming out on Friday, Lunatics. Shows coming up. I'm going to be at Bite Me Bambi this Saturday in downtown Los Angeles. They are playing with a band whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce because I know I will mispronounce it. But they're playing a show down there in downtown Los Angeles. I'll be there this Saturday the 7th. So if you're going to be out there, make sure you hit me up. I'll throw some stickers your way. Just picked up some new stickers. We were running low on stickers between the Arizona trip and all these shows and stuff. And thank you to Paul and Paul especially putting up some stickers in the UK, and Adam and Jen throwing some stickers up around town, all around here, as well as like Seattle and Florida and all that good stuff. So keep an eye out for those stickers. But if you run into me at a show, I will have some stickers and I'll throw them your way. Also, speaking of Bite Me Bambi, Summer Sizzler got announced the date, so save the date for that one. August 13th down there at Garden Grove Amphitheater. Gonna be a good one. Looking forward to that. Gonna take the kiddo to that one. So that was just announced today, I believe. So mark your calendars. Tickets not on sale yet. Gonna be $20 for a great day of ska bands down there at Garden Amp. So make sure you don't miss out on that one if that's what you're into. New Bases Against Racist design should be coming. I meant to reach out to Paul today. Because as you know, there wasn't one last month. Today is the first. I think they haven't gotten the post up yet. That being said, maybe I'm gonna leave the studio and be like, there's a new Bases Against Racist. So we'll promote who that is. But make sure you're following them on Instagram for the newest design that's going to come out. You have the Bases Against Racists account that's right on there. Also Zombie Teeth Clothing, which will have the design, as well as Chaos Merch. Lynn Lee from Bad Cop, and T-Mom Merch. All of them are going to be promoting it, and of course. My own account at SoCal Sean will probably be posting about it as well, because we love that Bases Against Racist crew and everything that they do. And then real quick before we leave, I want to give you another new music recommendation. I just got their sticker up on my wall here for those of you that are watching the video feed, and that's the Let Me Downs out of Tacoma, Washington. They're a 3-piece pop punk band. They put out their first album in 2021. They dealt with a lot of the challenges that were COVID, because they got together as a band like right as COVID was starting. And I had the pleasure of seeing them out there at the Last Call in Tarzana, my old stomping grounds, literally around the corner from my film school. I was like, oh yeah, there's my film school right over there. I used to live in an apartment right over there. It's a lot of fun out there at the Last Call with Comics and Chaos. Thanks to Adam Mays for putting on a great event. We got his sticker up there too as well. Had some stand-up comics and then some great music, especially the Let Me Downs, who put on a fantastic show. I call the bassist and lead singer Paul a good friend of mine, and I know the other guys as well. They put on a great show. Make sure you're checking out their album. Tacoma is for Lovers. That is their debut album, and it's out right now, and it is great start to finish. So make sure you're checking that one out, and if you get a chance to see them live, do so. That was their first show in Los Angeles. I think they're looking at doing some shows up in Tacoma, up in the Northwest here, and then they do quite a bit down in Arizona, because they are from Tacoma, but Paul lives in Tempe, so they've done quite a few shows there as well. So check out the Let Me Downs out of Tacoma, Washington, and their Tacoma is for Lovers album that was released just last year. I don't even think it's a year old. I can't remember the date. No, it is not a year old. It was released in 2021, so check them out. All right, that's going to do it for us. I'm exhausted. Let me go check on this dog, see what he's getting into. I think my wife is making some dinner there in the kitchen, so it's probably going to start getting loud here. And I don't hear kids running around, so the kids might actually be gone. But that's going to do it for episode 76 of Common Sense Sundays. Don't forget to follow us on all the social platforms, facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. youtube.com/GoTellItToTheWall. My own personal Instagram account, which is at SoCalSean, SoCalSean, at SoCalSean. If you want to see that dog I mentioned, you got to jump on that Instagram, and you're going to see that cute little pup Falcor all up on Instagram and stuff. And, of course, SeanO'RourkeLive.com, which is your one-stop shop for everything that is Common Sense Sundays, Go Tell Us to the Wall, and Sean O'Rourke Live. And that's going to give you a link to our Patreon campaign as well as our merch website, so make sure you're checking those out as well. As I said, this has been episode 76 of Common Sense Sundays with Go Tell It to the Wall, hosted by me, your absolute favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. And remember, Wall fans, Common Sensers, podcast consumers, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter who you're with, and especially no matter why you are doing it, always use common sense.